everybody. From Frets and Fingers, I'm Alex Pickard, and you're watching the Jam Sesh. Today, we are joined by Ben Monteith. He is a well-known singer-songwriter from Scotland with tens of millions of views of his busking performances online. If you've ever walked the streets of Glasgow, there's a good chance you've heard his unique voice and outrageous strum patterns echoing the avenues. He transforms familiar tunes into something entirely fresh and unforgettable, which no doubt has etched his very own place in the music world. Today, we have the absolute privilege of delving into his musical mind. Thank you for joining me straight from the heart of Glasgow, Scotland. Ben Monteith, welcome to the Jam Sesh.
Thanks, man. That's a very, very nice intro. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, just get started. It's pretty awesome to have you on. I'd seen your original kind of viral videos a long time ago, and then in 2018 when you released your second busking album, my brother had seen it and he showed it to me, and then it was kind of, I think for a whole year I just kind of had those your two busking albums on repeat. So it's pretty
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to have you to be talking to you right now, I guess.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I guess for the audience who don't know your background, can you dive a little bit into it and give us some context before we start firing off some of these questions?
Yeah, always been a big music lover. Always been drawn to rock and punk and things like that. And used to deliver furniture. Lost my job, and a buddy of mine did some street performing, busking, and he was like, "Well, why don't you come out and give it a go, and maybe it'll get you some money while you're looking for a job." And I've been doing it full time for 8 years now. I'm still singing on the streets, still doing my thing, and yeah, I love it. It's a total privilege. I managed to get by and feed a family on music, so yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's great, I guess, and that's kind of a good segue into the first question I had, which was produced versus non-produced music. So could you kind of take me through the process of going from doing kind of raw covers on the street, like you mentioned, doing the busking, to going into the studio to record your cover albums and your originals, like Excuse Me and Your Moment? What do you enjoy about the process of each? And just side note, I recently listened to your original Excuse Me, and it sounds like 100% you all the way. Like, it's got those killer strum patterns, it's got those palm chugs. Like, I very much enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. With the cover albums, I very much wanted to, if someone rolls up on me in the street and they say, what the most often question is, what's on the CD? And I'm like, well, I wanted it to be able to say, well, it is exactly what you've just heard here just now. What has made you come ask me that question is what's on the CD. So the premise was always to go in and do those two records, do it live, do it to a click track, so it's all nice and tidy, and get as good a sound quality as possible. So both those records were just me setting up as I would on the street, in a studio, and just doing take after take until we got one that we liked. I think we did like 5 to 6 takes per track, and then we would pick the one we liked the most and go with that. Doing original stuff is a totally different ball game because it gives me the freedom to explore musically and do whatever I want, and I think I would say like the first EP I put out, Safe, was all acoustic, because I was trying to. It was so weird to all of a sudden have a fan base, and this fan base that had come out of nowhere literally overnight, because the Free video went so nuts so quickly. I woke up, I thought my phone was broke. I had like 45,000 or something, like 4,500 notifications on my Facebook, and I thought I'd been hacked, and I was like, what the heck, man, this is so weird. So because there was a demand for like acoustic stuff, that was why I wrote that record in that style. Doing Your Moment and some of the music I've got coming this year, original stuff, is more sort of what I'd like to be doing, you know, because I love my rock music and I love that kind of thing. So I really enjoyed exploring, doing your moment, you know, playing the drums on it. I played most of the instruments on it. Guy that produced it with me, Matt Spicer, he did a lot of the guitars. Um, but yeah, I like with the originals that I can explore different avenues.
Yeah.
I I despise doing vocals in the studio. I hate it. I hate it.
Why? I've never done studio recording, so I'm not really sure what it's about.
When you're on the street or playing a show, there's an energy and there's this like, you know, you just feed off the energy that's kind of surrounds it, and you've got nerves as well because you're like, oh, people are listening, and I always go for it 100%. I just throw myself at it and give it everything I can. And then in the studio, it's so like naked, you know. It's the difference between being nude and being naked. You know, if you're naked, you're like, oh my gosh, give me a towel. If you're nude, maybe you're posing for a portrait. You know,
Right.
you chose to be that way. And I always feel naked in the studio, and when as soon as you start stressing, you know, your vocal is a muscle. So as soon as that gets tense, that comes across in the performance. So I always end up doing vocals so many takes to get one that I'm happy with. So, but I've got a lot of new music I'm working on just now that I'm very excited about. So
Yeah, no, that's great. I can't wait to hear it. Yeah, like you mentioned, your moment. I definitely saw it. It's a bit different than what I've heard you play before. Obviously, from just the straight acoustic. Like now, you said you got those drums in there, and I know you normally have drums because you're doing your own kick drum. You're doing the whole show, man. You're like one man show. So yeah, it's very cool. And also, I guess we'll talk about the busking. Who is the older gentleman that is sometimes like dancing in those busking videos? I've always wanted to know that.
his name is Leo, and
Okay.
he is a lovely man. He his kind of backstory is that he was a drug addict, like a heroin addict, and he actually was high one day and got ran over by a bus, a double-decker bus, and survived. And when he was in his coma, he got clean. He woke up sober and never wanted to go back to doing drugs. He does have a bit of like it's almost like with Leo, it's like the serotonin and dopamine tap in his brain is on full whack. Like he's always buzzing, he's always
Nice.
happy,
Nice.
and a lot of people make the assumption, not everyone, but that he still is a drug addict and he's high and he's that's why he's dancing. So he showed up one day, started dancing, and I started watching, and some people would laugh at him and start poking fun. Got to know him, and I just fell in love with the wee guy, and he just loves to dance. So I'm always like, if you want to dance, you can dance. Doesn't bother me. Happy to have you, and yeah, he's a lovely little man.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, he's always bringing the energy. I find he's like I didn't look at him like he was a drug addict. Look, seemed more like he was just enjoying life, and like you said, his serotonin's cranked to 100. So
Yeah,
it
man,
makes a lot of sense.
he's always like it's crazy how much energy he has. He's got so much energy.
And I'm sure that helps with your performances too, right? Like it just helps you like
Yeah,
really like I don't know.
it's always fun, man. We've had you know, every now and then you draw some ridiculous crowds, and then people end up dancing with them, and it just puts a lot of smiles on a lot of faces. Which, let's face it, everyone can do with more smiles.
Of course. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I guess we'll move on to the next question. So I see now, I know it's probably been a couple of years you've had it, that your Taylor guitar that's got all the like artwork all over it. So like where did that artwork come from? And then have you always been a Taylor guy? Because I'd like to also talk about that 3/4 size guitar you had like prior, the smaller one that you used for busking. So kind of maybe go into both those guitars first.
Yeah. Yes, I've always been a Taylor guy. The Taylor guitars are so bright But if you find the right one with the low end matched in, they're so good. They're so nice to play. Um, I got the little one because I was trying to, at the time, I was trying to condense my gear and have as little to carry as possible. I wasn't really on the whole Ed Sheeran bandwagon of let's play tiny guitars. It
Yeah.
was it was genuinely a practical thing. And it ended up being like the biggest blessing ever because I was playing in the street and I look up and there's these four guys all in black and every one of them has embroidered on their sweatshirt tailored guitars. And I was like, what the heck? And it was they introduced themselves and one of the chaps that was there was 50% owner in the company. It wasn't Bob Taylor, but it was his business partner, and um, and they were so lovely. And they said, look, man, we can't believe that you're getting that sound out of one of our micro guitars. We love it, and they're like, we want to help you. We want to bring you into the Taylor family, and they did, and they gave me a very generous discount, and I was able to buy one of my dream guitars, which is a Taylor 710E, and I use that for shows and stuff. The painted guitar that you see, my Taylor, is actually one that I bought off a friend, and I I'm obsessed with tattoos, and I took my guitar to my tattoo artist, a guy called Roberto Poliri, and I said to him, "Look, I want my guitar to look like me." I was like, "So just do whatever you want to it," and that's what he did. It's absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, and the cool thing was, he said to me, he's like, "Ever since you did that, I've been inundated with people asking me to paint their guitars," and he said, "I really really hate you." He said because that was the most difficult art project he's ever had. He's like, I've sanded that and repainted it like 5 times.
Oh, jeez.
And he's like, you're the only person I'll do it for. That's it. So I felt kind of special in that way that it truly is a one of a kind thing. So, and it's one of those things that, like my drum skin's painted by him as well. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, this is me, represents me, but it's also eye catching. And if you're performing on the street, it's all about catching people's attention. It's all about doing whatever that wee extra thing is to get people engaged.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty cool that you had like uh the Taylor guitar like 50% owner like approach you. That's pretty wild, man. Like
Oh,
to
it's
have that
insane.
opportunity. And I think you also, so I'd seen somewhere to talk about like getting the opportunities from your busking. I saw somewhere that you ended up on like a 26 show tour with that Scottish singer Emeli Sandé because of your busking. Could you give me like a little bit of backstory on how that happened, but also maybe go through the process of getting ready for a show like that? Because I know that it's a quite a big like it's kind of an orchestra, right? That she plays with.
Yeah, so she was doing like a TV show with a local TV station here, and she was going around and picking. I think she picked like 6 street performers to do an original song and a duet with her and the BBC Symphony Orchestra. So I was lucky enough to be one of the ones she picked, and I got to get an original song home scored and played with the orchestra, which was insane. Um, and then I got to sing her hit song "Read All About It" with her and play that with the orchestra, which was just very surreal experience. And so after the show, she put on a nice like a little after party for all the acts and the families to come. And my wife and I went back there. We were hanging out, and she's just lovely. She's so nice, and her tour manager came to me and he's like, "Look, man," he's like, "we just love you." He's like, "Our whole crew has just fallen in love with you throughout this experience." And he's like, "I've kind of got this crazy idea about taking you on tour with us." He's like, "Because we're going to go do a 3 month tour." And I was like, Okay." And he's like, would you be interested in that? And I was like, immediately. It's funny. Most people's first reaction would be like, "Let's go," but I've got 3 kids and my wife, and my first reaction was 3 months away from my kids, and I was like, I said to him, I don't know, and my wife was like, kind of, squeezing the back of my arm, going, just wait. It's like, just hear this guy out, and so she jumped in. She's always been like my compass with my career and helping me, make good, healthy decisions. And so this guy Kumar, just the loveliest guy in the world. He got me on the tour, and because I'm not signed to a label, a lot of times when you've got a major artist like that, support acts will pay her to get on the tour, and then they'll have to pay their own way, their own transport, their own hotels, everything. So you're talking, hundreds of thousands of pounds just to practically do it. And I'm a guy that sings in the street for change, so it wasn't going to happen. So he said to me, he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on as a crew member. So you'll come on and you'll load in and you'll load out. You'll be on the bus with the crew, and then you'll be the only support act, and you'll play to 3,500 every night, 26 shows. You can sell your merch, you can make some money and do your thing. So I came up with I believe I did 6 songs every night, 5 originals, 1 cover, and just had a blast. I just had a blast. I wasn't, I think the first night I was slightly nervous, but like, I just had the most fun. I just soaked it up for all it was worth with the performances. And I loved loading in and loading out, because it gave me a new appreciation for a live show, because there's different sections where people work. You got the back line, where people are setting up all the instruments, and those guys are like, before they go on tour, they rehearse and they tape every little section. So when the drummer comes out, everything's in the exact same place it was the night before. Same for the guitarist, the bass player, the backing vocals. Everything is like a well-oiled machine. I enjoyed flying in a PA system, which is like, these guys have maps and lasers of every venue, and they go in and they use their lasers and map out the room digitally, so that everyone in the room, it's almost like we're all wearing the same set of headphones, and everyone's getting all the right frequencies. And I ended up really enjoying that. Flying PA, it was a lot of fun. And just the crew were such I guess the stars aligned for me for a little while. And it's been a bit weird, because ever since that, I came back and COVID hit, and I like everything seemed to just lose momentum, because for 2 years everything stopped and everyone was like trying to figure out their own life. And so I'm kind of, it feels like I'm sort of back at the beginning all over again now, starting out and playing on the street again, and which is fine. I don't say that at all begrudgingly. The job I have is very unique. My wages are dependent on people's generosity, and it's a very unusual way to get paid by people's generosity, because it always makes you feel very blessed to have someone go into their pocket and invest in you. So yeah, I'm grateful for the big gigs, and I'm grateful for the street gigs. It's all good stuff.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think COVID was definitely a hard hitter for the music world, right? That's where, like you said, that's where you guys make your money, and would have stopped everything in its tracks. But I guess that's a good segue into my next question, which is like, so my goal with these interviews is to get a bit of background on the musician, which we've done now. But I also like to touch on the business side of things as well, because that's kind of where my passion is music, but with business as well. So, and I think it's informative to like any musician coming up in the music industry. So I'd like to kind of go into that side of things. I won't I don't talk about money, like the money side of it, but just more like your experience on the business side. So like I know you've mentioned that you've never had a record deal, but I think you building your own platform, which is now amassed like a great following, is the way to go. So like, how has that journey been? Like accumulating over 500,000 followers on Facebook, going viral on YouTube, and so on.
Um, in the beginning, before companies like Facebook sort of, because unfortunately now my Facebook is capped. I can't communicate with my own following without paying Facebook. So
Really?
yeah, if I put up a post, maybe a couple of thousand people see it, and then immediately Facebook messages me and tells me reach 8,000 followers by spending $30 or £30. And I did the math, and to reach like 500,000 people, each post would cost over £1,000. And it's like that aspect of it really sucks because I can't tell my following what's going on. Because when it first kicked off, it was great. It was amazing. It was like, here I am, I'm an artist, I'm unrepresented, but I'm reaching an audience and they're engaging, they're downloading my music, they're streaming it, they're coming to shows. I sold out the I sold out a venue of 550 capacity in Glasgow, and that
Is
was
that the V2 Live Lounge or something? With is that?
it was the classic Grand that I sold out, and
Okay.
I sold out a famous club over here called King Tut, and that's about 300, 320 that holds. And I had, so it was mind boggling to me that social media opened this door. It's a bit frustrating now because it's sort of been closed, and I feel like I'm starting all over again, and people are like, oh, use TikTok because that's not capped, and you and I'm like, okay, but I don't really have a big following on there, so it's kind of building it back up again, and also doing that and trying not to repeat myself too much with the same stuff. But I mean, the business side of things, I am not the best business minded. My wife was incredibly integral in helping me put out, especially those two cover records, um, with the legality and doing it safely and making sure that the people whose songs I was covering were getting paid, and yeah, doing that all above board was very important and very time consuming. But she did that, so those records would not have come out if she hadn't put so much time in to figure that out. And yeah, it opened up so many doors. I still feel like the music business is really cutthroat and confusing, and there's so much money in it. Um, like I can't imagine the little I've been exposed to it just on one tour, it, a 26 show tour that must have cost over £1 million to do that tour, and that just blows my mind. You know what I mean? That just
Right.
and that's not even like that's not a crazy big tour. You know, it's and in that world you've got, we had two buses for crew and band, and we had two 18-wheeler trucks for the gear. But like I listened to a podcast recently and they were talking about Metallica, and it was two comedians, I think it's Two Bears One Cave, Buck Kreischer or something like that. And they were talking, because, so obviously because they two as comedians, they know that world of how many buses are on a tour and stuff like that. And they were laughing because Metallica had something like 62 buses for the tour. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's just insane. And then they were talking about, they went from that into how Taylor Swift playing 7 nights in LA grossed over $1 billion.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's
That's
just,
big money.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
she
wonder.
actually, one artist boosted the American economy.
Right. I've heard
if you
that.
look it
Yeah.
up, she actually boosted the American economy, which is just like it's mind boggling to me. I'm a bit slow. I don't really uh, maybe I'm a typical music person. I'm just all about doing music and the connection that comes through music. And of course, I want to earn a living doing it. That is the dream. And I want to be able to give my kids a better life. And if I can do it doing something I'm happy, then that's awesome. But I'm always learning and growing in the business side of things, definitely. Because everything's moving so fast now, and everything's changing so quickly. It is really hard to keep up with it.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you're doing, like I said, you're doing a good job, and even your Instagram, you have quite a few, like I would say, a good amount of followings for a musician. Like people who are following you, or I've followed you because they enjoy your music. It's not just from like some random viral video. It's like they
Yeah, yeah.
enjoy the music, so they're following along. So you do have like that that following, and I guess that would be my next question. Is I saw you, so you have this thing called RocketFuel. So could you explain to the viewers what that is exactly, and myself actually, and then do you think it's a good place for musicians? What are the pros and cons? I think this is a good place for you to plug whatever you want to plug as well. You can
Yeah,
go ahead with all that.
Rocket Fuel was the company that reached out to me to try and help me do like a more personalized GoFundMe to get a record out. And I just think due to, like I was saying about social media being capped and just the place that people were in where everyone was struggling financially, we didn't really reach our target. Um, and but we honoured all the stuff that people purchased, and I managed to record a decent amount of music and get it to them. Um, I think they're a really good company. They're a really nice bunch of guys that work there, and they definitely put the effort in. They've had a lot of success with other artists. My campaign didn't exactly go according to plan. Um, but yeah, it worked for some people. It just didn't work out entirely for me because we didn't reach the goal.
Right, but
But
are you still going? It's still live? I guess like people can still.
I guess it's still there. It's not really something I'm actively trying to do right now. I am recording. I've recorded an original EP, and that's getting mixed and mastered, and that is along a similar vibe to Your Moment. So it's quite full on instrument wise, and maybe a bit more rocky. Potentially the song "Excuse Me" I released that there's a full version of that with a band sound, and so we just released the acoustic one just to get something out there. And I haven't announced it yet, but I'm doing another cover album, so I
Oh
am
wow! Okay.
I'm working on. It's probably not going to be called Busking Live 3. It might have a different name, but I am working on another cover album. I have this one's going to be have a little bit more texture to it than the previous ones, just because we've had the time and the privilege to do it. I'm working with a guy called Sam Gallagher. He produced the first two records. He produced my Safe EP. He's fantastic. He just released a song that I did the vocals on that he wrote called Leave It All Behind.
I checked that out when I was doing my research on like to do this interview. I checked that out. It's a good song, man.
Yeah, he wrote a really nice song. It was fun for me because I was like, the track was finished. I didn't write it, and it was one of the more like for me it was like a more relaxed experience of doing vocals because I didn't have there was no pressure. He was just like, "Hey man, would you sing on this? I'd really like your sort of raspier rock sounding voice on this record." And it sort of reminded me of like I don't know, like a Goo Goo Dolls song or I don't know, like sort of. late 90s, early 2000s sort of sounding vibes to it, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, it was fun. He's just always fun to work with. So we're doing this third cover album together, and I have no idea when it'll come out, but I've tracked all my Farmer Foot drums on it, and I've tracked guitars, and I've just got vocals, and we made because I went from using the sort of tambourine kick sound, and now I'm using the foot drum. And when you record that thing, it just sounds like a kit. It's an absolute beast. So it was like there might be some tracks where we're like, oh, we should put some bass guitar in here or some stuff just to fill out that sound and complement it. So this cover album will be kind of fun because it's going to have some more instruments on it, some more stuff going on. So
Nice. Is there any like so for me? I'm a huge Blink 182 fan. So obviously you did I Miss You and all the small things on your other two albums. Is there any? Well, I guess you don't really want to probably reveal what songs are going on to that album, right?
there is no Blink on this record. Um, I'm a huge Blink fan as well. I love them. Um, so yeah, I those are the sort of things like because when you're playing in the street, the premise, the idea, I I very quickly became aware of what kind of songs got money in the case, and ultimately that was the goal, was to get paid and get by. But that was why I started trying different things, whether it was singing a Miley Cyrus song or the Phrase song or Kings of Leon, but I was always like, obviously at heart, like people look at me, I obviously look like a metal guy or a rock guy, and and I love all genres of music. I just kind of own it. I'm a total sellout. I just was like, I will sing these songs and it will feed my kids and that's it. And who knew that people would like it so much? I didn't expect it at all. So I guess people like, because I kind of have a 50-50 split with my fan base where like a lot of them really love the originals, but a lot of them really love the covers. So they want both because it was never really my goal to be a cover artist. That was never, everybody wants to, write their own music, do their own thing. Um, but I also noticed myself, like Alice, there's a lot of covers that I listen to that I'm like, oh, I love that. And I love them doing that song. Um, so I just kind of like got over myself and just enjoy the ride, enjoy the fact that I guess part of me felt guilty because I was um, having success with someone else's beautiful work. Like when the Phrase song did so well, I was like, man, I'm like, this is amazing. But I'm like, this is their song, and it's so personal to them, and obviously such an incredible song that I always loved. And then when they shared the video on their social media, I felt a lot better that maybe it got their stamp of approval and they didn't hate it.
No, of course. It's a like I think for you though, because your stuff like your covers are really like good. So I feel like most musicians wouldn't be upset at it, and you also kind of switch it up to be your own like kind of version of it. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't not that it doesn't sound like the original, but it really sounds like your music in terms of like it's your own style. So and
Thanks, man.
I really like the one I like your cover of Ain't It Fun by Paramore, man. Like I don't know why, but like that one I actually learnt your version of it and I play like so I do open mics. Like I like
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
open mics. And I play that one at the open mics, man, because like people love that one. It it gets people
Awesome.
going. So yeah,
I love it. Yeah, man. I know it's such a good song. Actually, I remember when, like, obviously I knew who Paramore was, but my wife and I went to a live show, and I think we went to see the Goo Goo Dolls actually. And I'll tell you why I keep mentioning the Goo Goo Dolls a bit, but we were leaving the show, and that song was playing, and there was this little couple, and they'd had a few drinks, and they were just dancing and smiling, and they looked so free and so happy, and I thought I was like, right, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna learn that song. I was like, because it has that memory for me where just watching this little couple having the best night. And plus, I love that song. It's such a contradiction and talks about the harshness and the difficultness of life, but yet it's so freaking happy sounding and just makes you want to dance. So it's, yeah, I love that track. I love covering that song. It's so good. So good. And it's like, right, so I'll tell you why. The fact you mentioned open mic and I keep mentioning the Goo Goo Dolls is the only reason I sang and ever sang in public was to get the attention of my wife. Years ago, when she worked in a coffee shop, she used to do the MCing for open mic nights, and I just was really struggling to get this girl's attention. And I found out her favourite song was Iris for the Goo Goo Dolls, and so I performed that live, sort of letting her know that it was for her. And wasn't long after that that we started dating. Long story short, now we got 3 kids and been married for a long time. So it's like the Goo Goo Dolls are kind of like our band. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's a good story, man. That's really cool. And Goo Goo Dolls are actually super. I feel like recently, in the last, I would say, a year, I've gotten back into the Goo Goo Dolls. Not that I was ever really into them, but like I like the song Name. I've been trying. That's
yeah.
been my goal, is to like do a cover of that one. But man, his
For
tuning in that song.
acoustic music, those guys are just ridiculous, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was always Irish that I liked, and it was never like I've always been into like pop punk and metal and post hardcore things like that. That's what I've got on in the car. But the Goo Goo Dolls just kind of snuck its way into my listening, and John Krasinski's or was his name? I can't remember his name, John, but his vocal is absolutely insane. And because my wife and I have this sort of, it was our song, and we went to see them live, and I was absolutely blown away how good they are live. Insanely good live band, flawless vocals. So
Yeah,
yeah,
his voice is crazy, man. There's the music video, I guess, of Iris, where he's playing Independence Day or something, like he's playing a Fourth of
oh yeah,
July
yeah,
weekend, and it's raining,
Buffalo,
man.
yeah.
Man, that video is like really good. I think he plays it a half step down, because I've also recently learned the cover of Iris as well. I didn't learn your version. I learned like the original. His voice in that live version is just ridiculous. Like you said, he just hits those notes, eh? Like
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, it's quite unusual, isn't it? Because it takes E string off, and I think it's D, C, D, D, D is the tuning of Iris for that song.
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't. Okay, so I definitely didn't learn that version. I learned it just like note standard chords. But so
Yeah,
when
you can. I play it in standard too.
okay.
What he plays is there's a couple of videos where he explains it, but he actually took off the first D strings off, so you got 5 strings, and it's from bottom to top. So E would be D, C, D, D, D. That is the
Wow. Okay.
tuning. That's the tuning of the guitar. And he said he was like the first D's, like that's just too many D's. Just take that off. We'll just play with 5 strings. And he plays these kind of open root notes, and it's just obviously it's got that low full sound. I actually really want to learn it the original way as well. I have my own kind of weird way of playing it. But that gives you a similar tone to the sort of nice, especially the intro notes, because it is, if you strip it right down, you're playing E minor, D, C, but I try and get it as close to it.
To the original.
Yeah.
And I think for Name as well, he has that B string up at a D, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try. I don't want to break my string. Like I'm,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
That's true.
so,
Yeah,
and go ahead.
he's probably in the same tuning for Name actually.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. And I guess it's good. Like we'll just keep moving here, but unless are you good for another two? I got 2 more. You got 2 more questions for you. I won't hold you too long. So in terms of like monetizing yourself, you play gigs, you post content on all of your socials, you write original music and make covers, which you post on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, and now you had the RocketFuel thing to fund your album. But could you give me like any insights into some of your plans, continuing like forging ahead in the music business? I know you mentioned you have your next cover album, and you also have those originals coming out. But like, so do you have any like plans besides that right now, like in like or like you're looking further into the future than those right now, like for plans?
Plans at the moment, finish those records, get them out, and then try and potentially do some live shows. Um, I would love to tour. I would love to tour the States, Canada, but I have no clue how to do it without a budget, you know. So I'll just need to see what happens. Hopefully, you know, God willing, one day I will get to do that. Because I have like I can see where my following is and who listens to me and my Spotify and Facebook and stuff. And I mean there is, I mean out of the 500,000 that follow me, probably like well over 150,000 are from the States and Canada. So it's like there's a lot of love out there, um, and about the same in Australia as well. It's crazy. So I would love to get to go these places. Right now, I'm sort of reevaluating. Going to be trying to release some little snippets of stuff on TikTok and Instagram, and building up those platforms hopefully so that I can get back to being able to reach as many people as possible. And I don't really have much other plans than that, man.
Well, man, it sounds like you got a lot planned, man. That sounds that sounds like a lot.
I'm just grinding. I busk to pay the bills, save up money, go in the studio, release it, and just you cross your fingers and hope that people will engage with it, enjoy it, because that's just the goal, isn't it? I mean, I know how much music means to me, and to hear like yourself and other people that enjoy it, I'm like, it's just the fact that people like it blows my mind. It really does every day.
Well, it makes it worth it, I feel, right? Like you get that sense of like satisfaction, I'm sure.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've had so many messages from people, from people having original songs and covers that I've done played at weddings, at funerals, all these big life changing events, and people thanking me for being a part of that, and it's very, very humbling. It's very humbling.
No, for sure. And I guess I have one last one, but I kind of want to ask you really quick. So I didn't realize doing a cover. I guess it makes sense now that you mention it. But doing a cover, you would have to pay the original like creator of the song some sort of like not dividend, but like basically a bit of money to do the cover, or you give them a portion of your revenue from the covers. But so like, what is it like? You give them like 10% or something, or how does that kind of go with making that happen?
It's different in different countries. So like over here, we use I use a company to distribute my music, and they are really good at helping know how to approach those situations. So there's certain platforms you just don't put it on, because it's just too complicated. If you were going to do a physical copy, for every physical copy you print, you would go pay. You need to create an account with, I think it's, if my memory serves me right, in the States it's called Harry Fox Company, and they are in the UK it's called PRS for Music, and that is where songwriters register, and those companies collect their royalties from radio and live performances. And so if it's a physical copy, you have to pay up front. and then you sell them and make your money back, and that's probably not far off 10 to 20%, something like that. With online stuff, if you put it on the correct platforms, some big platforms will do the split for you, and which is great and super helpful as an artist. You don't need to worry about it, so you need to be very specific about what platforms you choose to put your covers on. Um, Also, I only found it recently because there's a good chance with this record I'm probably going to do this, where if you put an album up for streaming only, then you can bypass a lot of that red tape.
Okay,
And
interesting.
and let's face it, music's being consumed by streaming probably 99% of the time. I do it. I feel like everyone is. You know what I mean? And it's iTunes and it's Spotify. Those are the go-to places. So yeah, if you do a cover and you register it properly and you register the songwriters properly with the company and put it up for streaming, as far as I know, and I'm still learning about this, so I wouldn't quote me on it, but you're able to put that up, and then certain companies will do the split for you. Make sure the songwriters get their cut as they 100% deserve, and you can make a bit of money for, I believe it's like the mechanical rate, because it's your performance. So that's where you deserve a wee bit of money.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, no, that's interesting. I appreciate you kind of going into that a bit for me. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would really appreciate it to know about that. I guess my last question just be kind of what advice do you have for any artist or musician starting out in the game or currently on their journey? Since you've kind of been in it for a little while. So
Yeah, I think that originality is key. Be yourself. Don't try and be someone else. Let what comes out of you naturally flow. Because I think if you spend all your time trying to sound like a specific artist, there's already one of them out there. And people don't want counterfeit; they want something real. So I'd say definitely be yourself, do your own thing, have as much fun as you possibly can doing it. And yeah, I mean, it's a new world now, man, with social media and stuff for people can. Seems to happen quite regularly nowadays that someone will do a song or a cover and it goes viral, and then all of a sudden, it's a game changer. So, there's always that hope for this. The thing is that it felt like for years there was these only a few talented people, but now that the world has shrunk, there is so many talented people in the world, so many, and it's just be great to be able to hear them all.
yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I think any musician listening would appreciate what you said there, being as original as possible, and just kind of following your own compass with what you're doing. And I see you doing that 100%, man. Like you're, like for me, like I'm still kind of like can't believe I get to talk to you. Not that I'm not someone who normally is like gets all clammed up talking to someone who's famous and
Nah,
and
man, we're all just regular
doing
people.
yeah.
It's just that we just
Yeah.
have the connection of music,
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm kind of excited that I have this opportunity. I've been trying to study the social media stuff and build my own platform where, like I love playing guitar. I play every day, but it's not something where I feel I'm at that point where I'd be able to be releasing covers and releasing like originals. Just not something that's in the cards for me, I would say. So kind of trying to find my own way through this music world. Where
Never
I'm
say never, man. I mean, I've actually seen when you reached out, I knew who you were because I've seen your videos that, going up to people and asking them to play you around.
oh
I've
really?
seen it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times. So when you reached out, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do do this guy.
Hey,
So,
that's awesome. I
that's
did
it.
not know that my videos made it out that way.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I've seen him a few times. Then I sit and think to myself, I'm like, oh, what would I play if you handed me a guitar? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, I would totally freeze up.
Well, see, that's why I'm always so impressed by the people who say yes and then they play these crazy
Yeah.
riffs that are really solid. I'm like, how did you just do that on the spot? You know, like
Yeah,
it's
so
always
cool.
impressive.
I love that, man. You've pioneered that. You're the first dude to do it, and keep going with it. You know what I mean? It's gonna keep going and growing, and it's fun, man. It's fun.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And I hope like I'm gonna edit this video as well as possible. You don't. I have another camera for my angle, so it won't look so choppy. But yeah, I'm gonna do a really good job putting this together there and maybe make some shorts. I'll send in. If you'd like, you could share it on your
Absolutely.
platform.
Yeah, you tag me in it. I'll share it for sure.
That's awesome. But yeah, that's all I have for you there. Unless you have something else you want to shout out for your brand, your platform, or
No, it's all good, man. Just if people check out the wherever you listen to music, go check it out because there's some new original singles up there that you might not have seen. So
yeah.
go check
All
it
right.
out, give it a stream.
All right,
It
Ben.
was
Well,
a pleasure to talk to you, man. I really appreciate it.
yeah, Ben. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. Like I really appreciate it. And
Man,
yeah, we'll
my
chat soon,
pleasure,
man.
man. Yeah, man. Take
Okay.
care. Be safe,
Take care.
okay?
Yeah, you
See
as
you, man.
well. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.